Hey everybody, thank you guys for coming tonight. My name is Terrence Nicholson. I'm the curator and programmer here at On Floor Gallery, and I feel like I have the best seat in the house because I get to celebrate really cool artists and people who I've seen and people whose work I followed for a while. So this evening, I have the privilege of, really the double privilege of being able to see the one who I call Tella talk about her work and and to talk about it with one of my other favorite people, Cat. So I think that's all I really have to say. I don't have a lot to say. I'll say this, the show will be, we have one more week. It'll close next Saturday, so we're going to have a closing, really sort of an informal kind of a closing. We'll 5 o'clock until about 8. So definitely come through. Take a look at the Washington Post tomorrow in the art section. I have a sneaking suspicion that that the show will have a review in the Post. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Tella and Cat. So black and bright.
So black, so black and bright. You can take up. It's okay. Yeah. Good job. It's too much. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Cat Okade. I go by Cat for short. I'll be facilitating this conversation with the great Oluwatoyin Tella. And I will break out in accents. It's just something that I do. We're both Nigerian, so it's going to be extra. So, just be ready. So, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is amazing. I came to take a look at it yesterday, and the pictures do not do the exhibition justice. It really is a powerful presentation, and I have a lot of questions, but I want to start with what inspired this body of work.
What inspired this body of work? It was years ago, and one day I just had the idea, listening to music, hip hop, and just hearing some lyrics, and I was just like, oh my God, this particular body of work, like, oh, that's so great, like, and I don't necessarily paint literally, right? Or even narrative, I don't think, more symbolic, even though it's figurative and it's realistic. So, I was like, it would be really great to use these titles because I felt like they were getting lost in all the other but all the other music that was being created that wasn't as, in my opinion, high quality.
Okay.
In the nice way. So yeah, they're just so dynamic and so moving.
Right.
These particular segments of basically poetry that I thought I needed to highlight it through visual art.
So totally gonna change all of my questions now.
No,
not in a bad way. Just because I did wonder what came first, the lyrics or the visuals. So the lyrics came first for me. The lyrics were sitting there, and you were like, I needed to sort of flesh them out in this visual way.
Well, what I started doing over years when I'm listening to music, usually when I'm painting or driving, those are like the two major, like, you'll see me in my car just like going hard.
Listen, same.
Going hard, I'm like, oh, I have to remember that.
Right.
So I would just start jotting lyrics down.
Right.
And so I had a whole 2 pages in my sketchbook. But the images weren't necessarily made from these lyrics.
Right.
So I would just see something, pose, somebody sitting, or just visualize something. And I'll be like, yeah, this will be great for this. or after I'm done,
Right.
then it's like, oh, that goes good.
Okay. So when I look at this exhibition, you have a way of, I like the way I ask this question. This is like a case study in intersectionality. As hybrid kids, and that's what I refer to, children who are born of immigrant parents but don't live in the home country, develop multiple identities because they have to. How do you identify the world? How do you identify in the world, and how does it influence your creative process?
So I do identify as Yoruba because I was born in Nigeria. That's what my grandma told me. The patriarchal society that it is, where what your father is Yoruba.
Right.
So from birth, that's what I heard. And that's what. However, moved to my mother's Jamaican. Mountains. We moved to New York in the golden era. So, yeah, that needed a pause. The golden era of hip hop. So all this coming to Long Island.
Yep.
The home of Rock Helm. And so just being immersed in it from a young age, and I just thought that was America, right? Because I'm just here, hip hop is just so beautiful. And it shaped me as well as the Nigerian, growing up in the countryside of Nigeria, in Oyo State. And then coming to Long Island, and then golden era, and then black is beautiful, everything is black, and African, proud to be African. And it's so, it was just like a different sides of the same coin. So I don't even necessarily see it, I feel like I'm in the center of a triangle. So my mother's Jamaican, I have the Caribbean home, my father's Nigerian, then growing up in New York, part of my childhood, right? I'm in the middle and I get to see, like, I have these identities, Caribbean, African, and New York, which is not, they say it's not really America.
Right.
Like, New York is not a typical American experience. So, yeah. So, how I identify as Yoruba, that's it.
Full stop.
That's it.
Okay. Well, when you look at the work, there is a lot of, some might say it's sort of Afrofuturism. I actually like Ndia Okorafor, is the writer, calls her work African futurism. She's or African Jujuism. She's very specific that she doesn't think her work is Afrofuturistic. And I look at these beautiful blue figures, and I have a theory about the blue, but I want you to share with us the significance of the blue, and then I'll share with you what I thought, and we'll go from there.
So how the blue came about, this was like, when I was in grad school at Howard, HU.
I was waiting. I was wondering.
Thank you. There has to be.
I was wondering.
Where
I was
there's
like,
one, there's another.
that has never happened, but okay.
So, in grad school, I used to paint in a lot of my figures in red, shades of red. And then I just was like, okay, I'm tired of this. And I just imagined all the color. I went through all the colors in my head. And then I hit on this blue, ooh, this is all in my head. I'm like, ooh, I kind of like that. Okay. So I started doing it. And one of my great artists, Michael Platt, he was on this committee. He was just like, yeah, you didn't hit on something. And I was like, yeah, I could feel it. He was like, yeah, just go for it. Go where the energy is. That's where the energy was.
Interesting. So I see these blue figures. And I know you're Yoruba. And I immediately think of Adire cloth and indigo. And Adire is basically tie-dye in Nigeria. It's the indigo that they use. They use the old methods where they boil it. And that trade actually was brought over during the mass transatlantic enslavement period. So because I see this as a multiplicity of identities, I'm thinking, okay, this is how she is firmly Yoruba, because Adire is firmly Yoruba. And she's, no matter what's happening with the figures, that Yoruba aspect is always there because of the blue. So I thought it was almost like a calling card to your Nigerianness in the way that you did it.
So now,
Uh-huh.
it can always go deeper, right?
Let's
Answers could
go.
always
I'm
go
here
deeper.
for it.
So again, when I saw the blue figure, I was like, yeah, this is it, and going with the energy. I started to research more about blue. So in Yoruba, to stay calm and cool, I was rendered in blue in a spiritual aspect. I was like, okay. So I started to like see, like, oh, there is some Yoruba in it that I didn't necessarily intend.
Right.
Because intentionally, what I would do, and my grandmother had this, the 3 marks. So my earlier work, I used to just put that in all my figures as that Yoruba presence in all my work, regardless of what. So, Nicole. So, then I saw Ptah, the Kemetic deity of creativity, is rendered in blue. And then in Indian spirituality, when you hit a certain phase, the electric blue, so it's written.
Okay.
And then you have Kala.
I thought Vishnu was blue.
Vishnu, Kala,
Kali is red.
Kali.
I thought.
The woman with
all the arms. That's Kali.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
Shiva.
Shiva.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to see this thread around different indigenous ancient spiritual systems where blue is highly regarded. So that came after I just thought, all right, let's.
I love how it comes together.
Yeah.
It's stunning. And when you, with this you use the white space so brilliantly. A lot of things are off center. And I thought that was fascinating, along with the henna patterns that are deeply embedded in each of the pieces. The henna patterns, I know you do henna because we've worked together before, but they're very North African, very, like that, when I go to Nigeria, that very straight style is what you see. And I was really intrigued that you used that because that's, my initial introduction to you was through henna. And so I loved that you incorporated that. And I wanted you to talk a little bit more about why you chose to sort of embed your work with those patterns.
Well, a number of reasons. One of the first that I do henna. I paint. I wanted them to. And so I was like, well, let me try this. See what happens. See what happens.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I just from a technical standpoint, I wanted to just see what happened. And when I do henna, I'm in such a flow that, as you know, henna is temporary.
Right.
It may last 2 weeks. But now, and then if I don't capture it, which if I've done any henna for any, I don't take pictures. Like other people have to take a picture. I don't.
Right.
And the design is gone, which is fine by me. I can do it again. But in the work, I can have the flow and then have it last, and other people can enjoy, and kind of see the movement. And I enjoy doing henna, but it's like I needed to focus.
Have you done this before with henna patterns in your work?
Yes.
Okay. This is part of your signature?
Yes.
Okay. I really do love it looks like mini constellations in each one of the works. And so I wasn't sure if this was some sacred geometry that she was putting down, or if it was just, I'm going to do a little henna. Wasn't really sure. So I have to ask you about that because the texture of that, I didn't touch it, I promise, but I wanted to, just a little bit. But it was beautiful. And some of it even looks like Braille. So I wasn't, I really was impressed with the use of that because it's taking these images and they breathe a little bit differently as a result.
Yeah, they breathe when I'm doing it. When I'm done with the paint and I'm satisfied, then it's like, all right, let's put this up with design. And then it's like it shows itself even more. It's like a language. So I do consider myself a visual magician.
Right.
And so my pieces, I wanted to affect the space in a certain way. Only known to me. So some of the work, I'm actually working with another artist in Haiti, and to go there and use Vivid. So you talk.
Oh, the very symbols. Okay.
Yeah, the Haitian. So I started using some of that and it's embedded a little bit, but I want to get the spiritual background of it before I start, like, opening up portals and incorporating. I have a little bit, but even with the geometric work and the symbols, mainly from North Africa, West Africans use the straight line geometric as well. It has a lot of spiritual intention behind it.
So when you think about what's happening in the work, I mean, I see like this, as I walked around, when things are curated, there's an intentionality in terms of how things are set up. And Terrence is an amazing, he knows how to, the order that he puts things in. I was like, superb. Yeah. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about so most of the forms are naked or no clothing, or at least their form is standing out. And there's a certain amount of vulnerability that you're seeing, particularly, sorry, that is my father calling me. Oh my goodness. You see a particular amount of vulnerability, especially when you have couples. And I wanted you to share a little bit of what you were thinking, because in some places, there's a lot of strength, as folks are sort of by themselves, but then you see this beautiful marrying of people that are just open to each other. And in this day and age where we think about Black couples and Black communities and sort of this myth that we don't get along, it was really endearing to see.
Yeah. One aspect is to counter that. That wasn't the main reason, to fight against society. That's not my focus at all.
Right.
But when I'm putting couples, I used to paint groups of people, so like a collective figures.
Right.
And then I went to one. Then now I'm going back to multiple. But with the couples, I want there to be a communication between them. And it's not necessarily symbolic from my end. It's more so the arrangement and construction
Okay.
And then the meaning comes out once I'm painting.
Right.
So I don't necessarily set out to say anything by the positioning. It's just the structure of it.
Okay.
Just what's beautiful, what's balanced, what's beautiful, what works. That's what I'm looking at first and foremost.
Right. Well, I mean, what I loved about it was that they're looking at each other. Whenever you have couples, they're actually looking at each other. And the whole everything just feels like this is our world. If you want to peek in, that's fine, but we are not here for your enjoyment. There is a certain boldness that all of the pieces are giving. And I love her. Is this self-portraiture here? Is this what we're... Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Well done. And so I want... And I loved it because this is a beautiful self-portrait. And I was really keen on the robe, the particular, why that particular color with everything that you've been doing, this being the piece that stands out, of course, because of the color pattern. I wonder what was going on there. Was it just sort of a tongue-in-cheek, or you're like, you know what, it's me, so I'm gonna do something a little different.
Something a little different. So when I'm painting, I see it first in my mind, and then I start sketching it.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be hot, and I just start painting. Usually it doesn't end up the way I see it, or it may evolve and get better, or not exactly, and I just have to accept it. But with this particular piece, this is just what popped up in my mind to do, and I was like, ooh, I kind of like that magenta. And I've been feeling, that magenta, that fuchsia. I've been, I go through my favorite color sketches. Right now it's fuchsia. So that's what, I was like, yeah, that'll be interesting. And then it's semi-autobiographical.
Well,
so
right.
I didn't want to just be out there like that. So. But that's just how I saw it.
You know, the beauty of this piece, especially where it's positioned and everything, she feels like the architect. So if we're thinking of that mother creator idea, like that, this feels like from this stems all of this. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about it. Your work really deals in sort of the Pan-Africanism of hip hop. That's a big part of what you are talking about. And I remember a while back I talked to Aniyakan Odofia. We were talking about something, I was talking with him about some pieces that he had done. And one of the things that is interesting is that when hip hop first comes to the forefront, a lot of folks don't know how big it was on the continent. Like how much people were, you know, and this is before social media, this is before you could actually, you know, send music digitally. People would wait for people to come home, you know, from New York or whatever with tapes, you know, to listen to. And that's how hip hop was spreading. So hip hop has always, you know, people have always known, you know, but there's always been this weird thing where hip hop hasn't always, especially as it becomes more mainstream, it starts to there's less and less acknowledgement of the continent in the space, even though the continent is gobbling up a lot of this work. So I did appreciate the use of the lyrics. But you have a lyric in here, a Sade lyric.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not really
That's
hip-hop.
not hip hop.
What was going on with that one? I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. Sade's honorary. You know, I was thinking, I could make it. Sade's on, Sade.
Is Sade, yes, it's her.
Sade, it's like Basquiat, right? Basquiat is hip hop.
Okay.
80s.
Right.
He is hip hop. And he's Haitian. But he's hip hop, right?
Right.
Sade, 80s, 90s, like she's there. If you would ask any artist and they play a Sade song, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I did a whole party about Sade, so yes. I get it. Yes.
But
I'm obsessed too.
specifically in the space I was in during the time I was collecting the lyrics, listen to Sade. I do, you know, I do. And so this particular lyric stood out to me. For one, she's Yoruba, right?
Yep.
And so to all my beloved children who have been enslaved, reach for the light continually. I was like,
Right.
like, my God, like the love and the devotion, the prayer. And she knows exactly who she's talking to.
Yes.
And so I was like, you know, she's honorary, man. Like, Sade is...
Sade.
And so you were talking about intersectionality, and that's where I find myself, you know, as African, Caribbean, New Yorker, right? All these different experiences. Sade is that she has that similar thing, and she has the race on top of it. But like, I always felt this particular affinity towards her, not just because of her music, which is amazing, but the lyrics are so spiritually uplifting. Like she's doing some work, and it you know, it shows in her. So I had to honor it.
I hear you. I mean, I wasn't mad at it. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, you know, you know, Mary J. Blige makes sense, but you know, Sade, I was like, I love it. I'm here for it. So, so when we're thinking about how music influences the work, like I love the headphones. Like all the pieces with the headphones just excite me. But you've been really intentional with the facial features of all of your figures. You're making it very clear that these are African people. And I appreciate that. There's almost it's weird because they look like people I know. And at the same time, they look almost godlike. And so I with the gold foil, because the gold is gold, the gold makes it hot. I mean, it's what you have to do. I really appreciated the way that you were able to form these stories. And I wonder, when do you know that the piece is done?
Oh yeah, that was a process. But I had to learn over time, going too far. Like you know, F this.
You know, cross the line.
So I had that just took time to be like, all right, you're done. Like you're done. even though it may not be technically done or what I had already saw in my mind, if the feeling from the painting is like, you done.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking about the facial features. They just kind of pop out of the paint. So I work with oil, and then my hands kind of do what they do. And I'm like, ooh, those lips are nice. When I look at people, I tend to, just look at their features. And it started happening when I was in high school from one of my art teachers, Linda Scher, this Jewish woman in Brooklyn. Very, very Jewish. Like
Very Jewish, very Brooklyn.
Jewish, very Brooklyn. Do me a flavor. It's chocolate. Like, she's so that was my initial art teacher. So yeah, it just the flow from the oil paint it come out, and I think the imprint of people's faces and features just comes out my hands, because I don't intend any face. I do intentionally make it African looking, because for me there's no erasure. So whether they're blue, purple, green, you can't erase, who they are at all, because it's apparent, the hair texture, the feature, body, the title.
Do you feel an obligation with all of your identities to always rock in that space as like, you are blackety black over here?
Black, right?
So black, we bright?
I feel no. It's not even it's just what is.
Okay.
Oh, that's my
Your son.
He's like, yeah, it's just what is. He says, what is. It's just what is. There's no heaviness to it. So I don't feel I have to talk about BLM or anything.
Right.
What I feel is important in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to pull this whole collection together? Like when, what are we talking in terms of?
So, about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years. The oldest here is 2020. So from Red Dirt Studio in Mount Rainier, that's where
Oh, wow.
I'm at. Yeah.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah.
Down the street from me.
Yeah.
I'm failing as a friend. I need to do that. Okay.
Red Dirt, Mount Rainier. Okay. Okay.
Shout out. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Shout out to Hyattsville.
Okay. Well.
Listen, Mount Rainier, Hyattsville, it's all the same things. Like Bowie and Mitchellville.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. There's going to be some haters after that one. How dare you? Okay.
But so during the pandemic, I moved in November 2019, and pandemic.
Right.
Then that came, and then we were out of the studio for like months. So we didn't get back until July or so
Of 2020.
of 2020. Then that's when I started this body of work up to fall.
Do you have a favorite piece?
They're my favorite until they're done.
Wait, but so once they're done, you're like, this whole thing.
So they all go through my favorite, stage. Right?
Right.
That's how it be. Like, oh, my favorite. All right, next one.
And then when they're done, they fall off a favor?
No.
Okay.
Then the next one becomes, they don't
Favorite.
fall. It's
They
just
just
the next
somebody
one just
replaces
takes my
it.
heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, ooh, I like that.
Well, I want to open it up to the audience because I know you all have some burning questions. I'm not monopolizing anything. Any questions for the great Tella? I like that, actually. That's kind of fly. Tella.
What was your first piece? So the one I did right after, okay, the oldest piece by my name.
Okay, with the headphones and that, yeah.
Yeah, the headphones. So that was when I was already thinking about that. I already knew I was gonna do a series with the titles. So that was like I did a whole thing with headphones. Like there's so much more. But the one I did right after after our studio opened is the one with the flower. It's Let Me See Your Light. You so black, you bright.
Yeah.
You so bright, you black. That was the first one, intentional. that was, learned a lot.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Did you listen to those songs?
No, I mostly when I'm in the studio, y'all seen Bay, Most Def, like heavy rotation, Robert Glasper, reggae, Afrobeat, sometimes silence if I really, really need to just tap in and like quiet for a second. But yeah, old school reggae, just that's why the title really what I got from those artists, the title, the connection to it, it carries so much weight that like I don't need to listen to it. But one particular piece, the one the high ponytail.
Oh yeah, this one? Or
The one with Queen Latifah.
oh, the Queen Latifah one.
Remember Black Man from Infinity?
Yep.
Remember Black Man?
Yep.
Yeah, so I was having a really difficult time naming that piece. And I just heard like, put on Queen Latifah, listen to that song. You and I too. I'm like, I'm having this conversation. I don't need to listen to
Put it on. Trust me, it'll be good for you.
I'm like, okay. So I put it on. And she said that. And I remember hearing that back in the day, right? But it just hit so different. I was like, oh my God, from infinity to infinity. Like, oh my. Like she meant that. Like that was so dope. Like the dopeness and it ages. Underdog and I were just talking the other day. I was like, hip hop ages so well.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, not everything, but the
well,
classic stuff. What you consider hip hop, right? Not rap.
No. Hopefully they learn from that. But hip hop ages so well. The lyricists, let's say that, okay. Hip hop lyricists, it's just like art. And art appreciates. And so it proves itself. It's gotten better over time.
Other questions before we? Yes.
So on this piece or all of them? It came a while ago. And I was like, I think the thought was like, gold would be nice with you. It was just really, like, it just sometimes those little voices that's just simple that we hear, that's just clear, it's not aggressive, it doesn't criticize, it's just like, that, like, listen to Queen, like, just listen to it. Put it on. Let's play it. You gotta just follow that. It's not telling you to hurt anybody, just those little intuitive nudges that become something great. So it's just like, yeah, gold would be nice. That was it. And I've tried it, and I liked it with the blue and the white, and it really worked.
Gorgeous. I think we have a question in the back.
Yes.
The question is about pattern and how much of that line and your type of meditation or about that kind of rhythmic work.
Yeah, it's quite rhythmic. So I've been doing henna. I used to do festivals and different things. I could sit and do henna for 5 hours, 6 hours straight under hot sun and just like go. And not really, because it gives me, okay.
For real?
Just, it gives so much energy back to me. So I can sit for long periods, right? So when I'm done with the figures on the white canvas, when I'm done, I set it aside and I just kind of look at it and just train my brain to, okay, what will work? Does it need it? Does it not? What am I going to do? And it'll just kind of like lift out. And I'm like, cool, all right, let's go. And put on some good.
In the white, start adding it.
You said what?
You see it.
Yeah, I see it.
Start.
I see the outline. I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then I just go. So the flow comes because I've been trained just by life to sit for hours, be able to do that. Because it gives back so much. Like my back hurts, but I don't realize that until I'm done. Right? You know what I'm saying?
So we can do like a select. That you like.
Okay, well,
Hey.
Sizzle fan in the corner, my daughter. So, yes, I actually have Little Sims.
Yeah, I
The
think
one
that's-
right next to you is from Little Sims, Yoruba girl, tougher than imperial leather. And then I have ASAP,
Ferg.
Joey Badass and ASAP Ferg.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's so many people now that are doing things that aren't necessarily popular that just from YouTube algorithms, I'm like, oh, who's this? And I just find them
Right.
because of what I'm listening to, so they kind of, follow those people through the algorithms. And I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. There's another one with Joey Badass, Mic Check of the Gods. And I'm just, you just gotta pass out a little bit. I don't know, maybe the next to the high ponytail, the piece next to that, Mic Check of the Gods. So yeah, I do use modern or current contemporary lyricists. Let's say lyricists. I appreciate hip hop, right? So I'm not gonna just say, oh, this generation don't have nothing.
Right.
J. Cole has some amazing stuff, Kendrick, and then there's just regular old SoundCloud people.
Right. Like a little SoundCloud.
They're doing their thing.
Right. One more question from the audience before, yes.
White on white? Is that what you're...
Why did you decide to do the hymn in white?
Not on the blue. Okay. Yeah, so
Great question.
it is. I wanted to keep the white space, because the blue can be pretty intense and I want the focus to be on them. And I didn't want to take away from that, right? So I wanted to keep the white. And so with my mind, I play with it. Okay, what about this? And once I see something, I'm like, okay, that works the best. Then I do it. So keeping this background space, that portal space of the white, keeping it clean, I chose white to go.
Thank you for that. That's a great question. Yeah. So my final question is, what's next?
So I'm going to continue to work with these titles. I have more. Like I had so many, and just keep painting. I have 2 paintings right now that I'm finishing. I haven't given them a title, but I'm going to keep working with this particular series. But the next series that I've had for a long while is expansion of oil. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, so that is going to be about your empire and how they always talk about Rome, right? Do what the Romans. But if you look at any of the African empires and people moving across the Atlantic, forcefully or by choice, Yoruba spirituality, Yoruba culture, language, and aesthetic is the one that's been consistently transferred generation. Right? So we have Brazil, Suriname, Cuba, Harlem. Like Yoruba culture and spirituality is consistently there. We didn't go anywhere.
Right.
So expansion, I'm gonna juxtapose.
I love a good juxtaposition.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We're here till 7, so feel free to continue to vibe out. Let's give a round of
Yes.
applause for our beautiful Tella.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming. So next week is the closing. Underdog is gonna be And there's some really great hip hop that we have here.
We could dance.
So you could dance, shake your tail feather, come through, yeah. And I think mass mandate will be over.
That's what they're talking about, but I don't trust it.
It'll be over by then, right?
The mask mandate.